2nd, and the stream should be live. So, since the last time I streamed, which was, I believe, yesterday, yes, that's how time works, I have done a lot of reorganizing in all of this, and today we're going to be doing something that is probably ridiculous, but I've wanted to do it forever, which is to embed a language into Java. And so the way that you can go about doing this, basically one way to go about embedding one language as another is one way to go about embedding one language into another is to find some subset of the language syntax that you want to use. So in Java, basically we're going to try to create something very similar to the Gherkin language in Cucumber. Because I like the way that the language looks, but there are certain issues with it that could probably be done a little bit better so, I guess to get this started, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I've done a lot of reorganizing. I reorganized a lot of the projects in a much better way. To start this off, we're going to create some kind of script here, and that's going to be in the API package. And then I guess we're going to have a folder for scripts. So the concept in Gherkin, if you're not familiar, is that you have these keywords. They are given, when, then, and then you have the idea of, say, I guess it's called a step in Gherkin. Let me double check that, because I don't actually know. Gherkin. So yeah, the Gherkin syntax. So let me see. So it uses special keywords, most lines. Start with keywords, comments, block comments, interspaces, keywords. I think it just calls them lines. Huh, interesting. Oh well, they will be, for our purposes, they will be steps, because they will be actions that are, they'll be actions basically. Well, they'll be steps, but they'll be actions that have their own arguments. You know what? I'll just do it, and it'll make sense later. Anyway, this is going to be an interface. So the script interface is going to have a type argument, and that type argument, it's going to have a generic type, and that type is going to be some S that extends a steps listing, and it'll make sense why we're doing that later. But yeah, I'm going to have an interface here called steps, and yeah, some S that extends steps, and in this we're actually going to have our keywords. So we're going to say given, it's going to return a type S, so we're going to say given, just S, okay. And then in Gherkin there are, I believe, 5 keywords that we can start out with. It is given, when, then, and but. When, then, and but. And basically, the reasoning behind returning the S here instead of steps directly is so that a client program or a client can add their own steps. Basically, all you need to do is you would create an interface that inherits from steps, and then you can pass it into the generic argument here, and it'll return the S there. So, we're going to also have a base steps, I guess? Yeah, a base steps. Or no, actually that's not true. We would have browser steps is what we'd have. Yes. And that's going to extend steps. Right. And so these are all the sort of base steps that you can do with a browser. So again, I know a lot of this is super duper abstract, but it will make sense in a little bit. And then I think we need another class that I think we're going to call a browser script. And so that is going to extend, it's going to extend script with browser step as the, browser steps as the generic type. So whenever we call our given when then, we will get an instance of browser steps. And so the browser steps are basically going to mimic the actions on an element. So that would be inside the browser module here. I believe it says, yeah, in targets, we have element here. This just extends web element. So basically anything a web element can do, we're probably going to want to give the user the ability to do that. So for instance, we'll use click. So in browser steps, we would say, for now it's going to be void, but we'll have to change the return type. You would say, it's going to be like clicks, the element, and it's going to be string name. And also in browser script, I forgot we're going to want to have a script target, which is going to be different than our, what's it called, target for, not for the framework, but for, yeah, for the framework. So this is like, yeah, it'll make sense in a minute. So the target that we're going to have is going to be the user. So in browser steps, we're going to have a target. No, we're not in browser scripts. Yeah, no browser step. In browser script, we're going to have a the user, or yeah, target the user. And so that's actually going to be default. So it's going to be a target default. No, it's a default. Is it default first? Default target the user. And then it's going to have an implementation. Right now it's just going to return null, which should be a valid target. Yes, okay. And so actually we need to go back to our script, I think it is? Yes. And so this is going to take some target. Yeah, they're all going to take a target. Alright, so that is almost done. And so this is script S. So basically we're going to have another method here, which is going to say void steps. This is going to be the actual steps in the method itself. And actually, these need to be defaulted as well. Sorry, it's been a while since I've actually done this. The purpose of this madness will make sense whenever I actually finally implement this. How we actually get the implementations into this, I don't know, and that's the part that I have not actually experimented with yet. But I want to try. Okay, so now if we make some basic, I don't know, class, call it a login script. So now what we can do is we can say this implements the browser script, right? And so now it's going to tell us that we need a method called steps. And we can say given, we can say the user, given the user clicks the element something, you know, submit. And now we get this sort of like almost very readable code here. I think it's really cool. This is sort of what I wanted to experiment with. But as far as how to make this actually work is the question. So we do need to specify what, well, no, we don't need to specify what page we're on because we would be able to navigate to that. Could also say navigates as a step, which we probably need in order to make this start working. So we can go into browser steps, void navigates to the page, or navigates to, yeah, let's say URL, and then we'll give it a URL. Let's say void navigates to the page, and then we'll have to give it some kind of page name. So what we can say is given the user, given, yes, we have that. The user navigates to the page, I don't know, login page. Yeah, I'll just say login page for now. I think it needs to actually be camel cased. And then we would need to have an input step so that we can actually test this, you know, so that this can actually make a little bit of sense. Oh, whoops, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go here. Void will say inputs, it'll just inputs something, value, and then we need some way to specify the rest of this actual, or the rest of this, we need some way to specify the rest of this, basically. And then this is part of where I get lost as well. But I mean, what we can do is we can have an internal class here. So we could say static interface internal. And then what we can do with that is we can say we can have another interface. Oh wait, do we need the static here? I don't think we actually do. I'm actually not sure anymore. I don't know. Into the element. Interface into the element, and then this, oh, that's not a method. That's a, it's an internal class, or an internal interface. And then what we can say is void into the element. String element. And then what we can do now is we can say that this returns that, and we can say it defaults to that. Internal? Dot into the element? Yeah. Alright, actually we don't want to default that quite yet. So yeah. And now what we get in the actual script is we say given then the user inputs username, username 123 into the element username, right? And then you can do a similar thing here. Oh, whoop. Maybe we say the and keyword and the user inputs, password 123 into the element password. Okay, so now the question is, now that we have this sort of stuff, how does this actually work? Like, how do I actually make this run? Because, yeah. So this needs to somehow provide implementations of these. So I do know that what we could do is we could have this run the actual, like, test. We could have this run the actual builder for a test. It's just a question of how we actually inject that sort of code into it. I have to admit, I did not think all of this through. So, alright, let's just create a public method here called run. Let's say this is called run. And maybe browser script forces you to provide a builder for the test, right? So we say test .builder, and we say get builder. Maybe it forces you to provide, say, builder. Maybe it forces you to provide that, okay? Maybe that will help. Because now this is forced to provide a copy of builder, right? Which we can put up here. Whoops. Which we can put up here. And so that will return what that will do is we can say protected test .builder. We can say builder. And then whenever we create this public login script, we can say builder equals new test.builder. And so on run, what we would then say is we do steps, and then we say we run the steps. This will cause, basically this will cause the builder to actually build, and then we'll do something, run the test at some point. And then this should go, yeah, okay, that will work. And so the advantage, the reason that we needed to declare builder on the interface over here is so that whenever we actually have, or no, it can't be here. It has to be on the browser steps. Yeah, it can't be on browser script itself. It has to be on browser steps. But that's a problem because then this doesn't actually implement that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. So we can't know when these are called, because it doesn't implement it directly. It only returns an instance of it. But I can't pass arguments to this. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Is there anything we can do about that? The answer is yes. Because what I can do, so this will return an instance of that, an instance of steps. So if that is true, since login script implements browser script, it's going to basically have to, extend it. I don't want to do that, but we have to do that. This is going to be class, and this is going to be implements. It's going to have no choice. This is going to have to extends. And then browser script is going to be an abstract. Public abstract class, yeah. And then it can then declare, I don't know if we need this still. This is a void, or no, this isn't. This is a public method. I mean, it could be protected, but I don't know. Yeah, at least this way, we don't have to put this implementation in here. Put this in here. And this, yeah, actually, we'll have to deal with that later. This is going to have some issues because this can go, this can go. Let's see, that's fine because we want to force people to override that. This actually can be moved up into browser script. Okay. And then steps itself. So, I suppose in, well, I can't remember, can abstract classes declare constructors? I don't think they can. That would, I mean, I guess it wouldn't make sense, but I guess in the run, God, I know how I want the interface to work. It's just getting the actual language to cooperate with me. Because is it here? No, it's browser steps, so that's fine. It's the actual scripts. Okay, so maybe S, maybe have it return s, and then we have to say get instance or something. Whoops, that's not how you do that. Get instance of get step instance. So what we might be able to do is in login script, but in browser script. Login script, we need to actually implement that. But I think what we can do now is in browser script, I think we can actually do this. Yeah, and now this will give us an instance of the browser steps. Okay. So now, I believe in given, or no, yeah, in the given, we can actually just say return get step instance. Yeah. There we go. That's one way to do it. And so now this forces whatever your base class is to actually declare the implementation of its steps, but that's probably fine, because we can just say protected browser steps. Nope, not browser script. Browser steps. Protected browser steps instance. Step instance. Okay, step instance. And then what we say is we can just make this lazily loaded, or actually in run, because run is basically where we're going to want that. So what we'll say is step instance equal new step instance. No, not step instance, browser steps. Okay. And it doesn't like that. Sure, add the unimplemented methods. Yep, that's fine. I don't know if these will always be default like that, or non-default like that. In theory, I don't think they should be. But yeah, this will at least let us know when the user runs this. So this can return step instance, right. And so now if we add a logger to this, if we go steal one from somewhere, I think what we can do is we can make that script actually print stuff out, which will be really cool. Where can we steal a logger from? That's the question. I mean, I could go to the fridge, but I don't keep those. Or actually, I don't actually know if that's a cold beer or not. Probably just made myself sound like an idiot, but yeah, I don't know. I don't drink any alcohol at all. I don't like the taste of it, so. I mean, I admire the people who do, because they seem to really like it, but I don't like it. User. Oh no, sorry. Navigating. God, dude. That really threw me off, and I don't know why. Very self-conscious now. I mean, writing code on the internet, I mean, people probably gonna have stronger opinions than that, but never know. Okay, so navigating to. Navigating to, clicking element, plus name. And so ultimately what this is going to do in the future is it's going to build a test from these steps. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to call run, you know, from our client code, we're going to call run, and then run is going to go through, it's going to build an instance of the, it's going to run the steps method. Okay, that's not what I wanted you to do at all. It's going to run this method. All of these pieces of code are actually going to go in and build the test for us. Then we're going to pass that test into the framework and run it. So that way we don't ever have to run any code here, because this logic is going to be not fun to work with. But yeah. Of course, the idea behind this is a lot of fun, but well, most of it is fun, but it might actually be useful. Yeah. Basically just making the Java code a little bit more readable to people who might want to read it. Yeah. Alright, so let's say main. Then we'll say new class main. So what we're going to have is we're going to have public, static, void, main, string, args, string, args, string. Oh god, I can't type. Args. Yeah, there we go. Then we're going to say new, I believe it is login script. Yep. .run. Let's just run that. I believe we will get a null pointer exception if I know, oops, that's not where I wanted to put that. If I am running the logic in my head correctly, I think we'll get a null pointer, but let's just find out. I like to write done just so that we know that this actually did something. And let's Alt-Shift-X-J and see what we get. Hooray, we got a null pointer, and we get the navigating and inputting. Oh, that is so good, I love that. Alright, and so yeah, this probably, this died basically exactly where I thought it was going to, which is in the into element, because we don't ever implement that anywhere. So the question becomes, how do we get instances of these? Because I don't know if we want to create them every time. Well, I mean, I already know we don't want to, but yeah. No, that can't implement itself. It can't call its parent. Okay. I mean, we can't force people, or we can't force, well, no, actually we can force clients to implement all of these, because it'll only have to be implemented once. So if we just create an implementation, let's say interface, or no, package implementation. Right, and then we said, I don't know, browser steps impl. Alright, and then we just go there, oh, whoops, nope. That is going to be one issue with this, is I'm going to get constantly lost as to where I actually am. So in here, just want to grab you and then put you in here. And then this is going to implement browser steps. Okay. And then we will just take the logger from there and put it over here. I mean, I really didn't have to remove it, but, you know. This is going to be a new browser step symbol. Yeah. Alright. And yeah, we probably want to create a new instance of the implementation every time. As far as the target, I don't think we're going to do anything with that quite yet. We might deal with that later, but I don't think that's going to be a thing right now. And so with this, we need to create a new into the element implementation. Into the element. Whoops. Nope. MPL implementation, and this is going to implement, I believe it is browser steps. Browser steps dot internal dot into the element. And yeah, so with that, yes, this will be into the element, that's fine. And so now the issue is that we don't have whatever this was called on. So how are we going to get that context? I guess we can create a context object that we pass around. But that still doesn't help us. No, it does actually. Because the browser steps implementation, that can create the context, and to all of its children it can pass the context. So new into the element implementation. And that implementation can actually have the context sort of stored in it. I can make that make more sense in a minute. But yeah, at least this should run. Yes, awesome. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to actually rip this implementation out. But not before we fix the context issue. So what we can do is we can say base step implementation. And so what this would do is this would not be, well, this would be an abstract class. It would just be the base class. No, it wouldn't. It would be its own thing, and it would just enforce that a constructor exists. Base step implementation. Would it? No, it wouldn't. It would just have the oh yeah, okay. I gotta think about that then. No, actually, I don't like that. Don't save. Just delete this. So this would need a... I'm going to call this has step context. Yeah, this will be an interface has step context, and it'll just be an interface for step context. Then this will say step context get context yeah, and then this will be set it's be a void set last executed, or no, this will be like a linked list, so it'll be push last executed. And it'll be something. I don't know what. I guess anything that has a step context is fine. Context, or no, step. So the way that this would work is for here, you would say var next segment equals into the element. Then you would say this also implements a has step context. So you would add that here. You would say get context dot push last executed step this, and then you would return the next segment or something. The idea being that this would sort of store the memory of what you had just executed. Or no, you would want to push... God, I can't think about this. I don't know why. I don't like that system at all. Not a huge fan. That can go... That can go... So say return... Oh, I know what I'm dumb. I'm dumb. Into the element implementation. So this just needs to take a lambda, doesn't it? Yeah, I know, I should know this. And this just needs to be a consumer of type string, which is, no, it needs to be a supplier of type string. No, actually, we don't even need to do that. What am I doing? This needs to be string. String. And this can be renamed to input into the element. That's what it needs to be. That's fine. Yes, okay, I know what I'm doing now. Right. So this is a private string input. Yes, and this just needs to be input. Yeah, okay, I know what I'm doing. This dot input equals input. Yeah, okay. Not int, input. Yeah, okay. So now what we can do is in here we can put our logger. Yeah, okay, I understand. And so we just say inputting logger.info, inputting plus input plus into element. And we say element. Haha, okay. And so with that, we already have the value, so we can just get rid of this, and then we can just say value here. Yes, this is what I'm trying to think through. And then if we needed whenever we have the actual test builder, we'll be able to just pass the test builder in and it will finish. Okay, yeah, my brain had stopped working for a second, but now it's working. So now if we do this, we actually get the inputting password 123 into the element password. Perfect. Yeah. Now we're cooking with gas, as Jim Sterling used to say, or still says, I suppose. He's not dead. I haven't watched his channel in a while, though, so I don't know. I don't know what he says nowadays. So this is browser steps implementation. So this would be a browser script. So yeah, this would have the builder. So this would have the protected, well actually we don't even need to, no, we should probably keep the builder. We should probably manage the builder ourselves. This would be test.builder, and we'll call this builder. And we'll say builder equals new test.builder. Right? Now we can call, here we can call builder.build. We actually need to do that after this. And actually, maybe this just gives us back the test. Maybe this doesn't even run it. Maybe this just, yeah, this is just going to be build test. And this is just going to return a test. We'll just return builder.build. Alright, yeah, perfect. So yeah, we just create the data and then we return builder.build. And so with that, all we have to do is create a new framework, or new instance of the framework. And we can do that, I believe there's an example of how we do that in standalone. So if we just grab all of this, I don't want to grab the package or anything. Yeah, all we do is that. And then instead of running all of this nonsense, we just say new, we say var script equals new login script, right? And then we say the test is going to be script.build test. And then this should just run amazingly. Amazingly, I think this will, well, whenever we finish the implementation, I should say, amazingly. So this browser steps implementation just needs to have a public constructor that accepts a test.builder, and this is the builder. So now we're going to say private test.builder, builder, right? Yeah, this is amazing. I should have updated the stream to actually just, I don't know. I should have updated the stream title with something amazing, but I don't know what it would be. I'm looking over at it. I can't think right now. So yeah, this would just be, well, we can't do anything with that actually. It's a builder.withStep, and so it would be a new action. And so the action would be new, I think, do we have navigate as an action? We do. We don't pass any arguments. And then I think the locator we use is a new, page? Locator, what are the locators that we have in our example here? So it uses the element on page locator for input, but it actually uses the class. Okay, so it's page in context locator. So that's what I was looking for. So new page in context locator, and we just pass in the page name. Yeah, okay. And then the only problem with the element on page locator is that I believe it uses, I think it uses like the class, the page class, which is going to be an issue. So this is builder.with step. The issue is going to be page. No, it's new click. Yes, and so it is not a page in context locator. It is a new element on page locator. So the problem is the page class that we don't have. Whoops. And I don't think we can get it from here. I don't think the page locator actually. Page locator. We might be able to get the class. But that would be. Would that be dangerous, actually? I don't know. Because this doesn't store the page class. Yeah, this doesn't store the class. We need a new element on page locator. Because all this does, so that being said, we could just do element on page locator. We don't need a generic type at all. We just need a string page string element, right? So we can do this either way. We can say this dot page equals page, this dot element equals element. I mean, of course, this is getting a little dangerous with the non-sort of compiler checked stuff, but it should actually be fine. And this can just be a private string last page. So in this case, we just set the last page to be page. So of course, this thing is becoming stateful, but I'm actually okay with that. We'll just say last page and element, not name. Just say element. All right. You don't like that? Why don't you like that? Oh yeah, because you just need to import it. Yeah. So now, we need to create, we can't do a builder.with step here. Here we need to pass in the test.builder. So this is going to be a private test.builder, test.builder, yeah. Alright. I like where this is going. I mean, it looks god-awful, but I still like where it's going. I think it has potential. And so with this, instead of doing this, we just say builder.with step, new input, and it's going to be new input arguments. And then this will be element on page, as always. The last page, this will need string input, and this will need string page. Yes, because that'll specify page. So yeah, private string page. And we'll just say page. So we have element, we have page, and then we also have the value, new input arguments value. You don't like this, Control-Shift-O. Yeah, you can grab that from there. And we don't have that because it's input, it's not value. Okay. And you're just not happy because we need to pass in the builder, and then we need to pass in, it's the builder, the value, and then the page? Builder input page, okay. Builder input page. Last page. And so this, I think, just needs to pass in the builder. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be like some of the craziest BS magic I've ever done, if this actually works. Alt-Shift-X-J. Nope, it didn't work. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Why didn't it work? What did I type that was wrong? What did I type that was wrong? Navigating to page. Okay, this is default page. Cool. This is element on page locator. So this failed for some reason. Let's find out why that failed. Because it really shouldn't have. I forgot to pass something in somewhere, I know. I already know. So page, what is this? Page is null. Okay, that's probably an issue. Why is page null? This is in the input method. Okay. So input's what's having the issue. So the input is, or the page is null because last page was null. So the question being, why was last page null? No, really, why was last page null? Because it shouldn't be. Let's debug this here. Say last page. Last page. It's not null. Okay. But we run this to the next breakpoint. Run this to the next breakpoint. And page here is null. So element on page locator, when this was constructed, the page that it was given was null. But why? So this is input arguments. Did I pass in the wrong value somewhere? I passed in input. Okay, element on page locator. Okay, so this executes on the locator. So wait, what does this locator look like? So this is the username locator. This is the element on page locator with null as the page. And this is in here. And the step is, of course, with the input arguments, the element on page locator, the page being null. So this was created there. But with the element on page locator actually being null, or not being null. Okay, I am very confused. Why is that getting null? I mean, clearly it's something I did wrong. But what? So debug as Java application. Don't switch, I don't care. So you. You have a builder, yes. You have a value, yes. And you have the last page, which is login page. Okay. Glad we got that straight. Okay, so now you're building element username. Page is null. Why is the page null? Because you're inputting into the element, at which point input is username. Page here is null. Why is page here null? It shouldn't be. So, okay, page would have to be oh, I know why it's null. I'm dumb. Yep, I'm just dumb. Okay. What I need to do is I need to make these final. Because had they been final, it would have told me about this. There we go. Okay. And I can not skip all breakpoints. I'd like to remove all breakpoints. I don't remember how to do that. There's a way. I know there's a way. Oh, breakpoints in here. Remove all breakpoints. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's go back to Java. Didn't realize my green screen was acting up like that. Stupid webcam. Oh well. We'll figure it out later. So if I Alt-Shift-XJ, Haha! Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. So, if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense what we're doing, we used this to actually go through and basically this runs the code in our framework, and it's slightly more readable. At least I would argue so. And it uses the Gherkin syntax. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Now it is just a matter of fixing some of these references, because I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, not really a huge fan of it at all. I wish there was a way to force those compile time references to be correct. I mean, for this one we can do login page.class page.class.get simple name, but that doesn't really help. I suppose what we could actually do, I suppose what we could do is in here, instead of taking a page, we could take any class that extends page class. That's fine. So that'll work. And that's fine. Module.targets, that's exactly what we want. In login script, this will be unhappy, so we just say login page.class. Cool. Something else should start being unhappy. Yeah, you're unhappy because you're not the right type. Whoops, not what I wanted. So we'll say class blank extends page class. Then we'll just say page is equal to page class dot get simple name, and then that'll just repair all of that automatically. And in theory, this still works. Yeah, it works. Okay, cool. So that does repair one of the compile time references. But yeah. In theory, with browser script, we should be able to implement... Can we implement multiple copies of script? I don't know. We could try. So this implements script steps. You cannot implement multiple. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. That means that if we want to add steps, we will need to add a subclass of, or not a subclass, a like child interface, I guess you'd call it, of browser steps, but I guess that's fine. But yeah, and so sort of the benefit of this is that it creates this kind of, I guess, like code by autocomplete sort of thing. And say, you know, if we know the basic commands, we know, navigates to URL, blah, blah, blah. So yeah. What I'd like to do is I would like to, in browser steps, let's get rid of this, because we don't actually support that in the framework right now. And yeah, that's going to be a whole different level of problems. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I would like to do next. I don't know. I mean, really what I'd like to do is I'd like to implement all of the Selenium kind of interactions. So element, we have it basically extending web element here. And, well, actually this is not a good example. Let me go to, I think it's Selenium Element? Yeah, Selenium Element. So this has all of the, Selenium sort of methods implemented. And basically all this does is this is just our own version of Element that implements target and also implements web element so that we can pass it in anywhere target is valid, but also the Selenium library will also accept it. But there's definitely some work we need to do with it still. Ultimately, the hope is going to be to use some kind of decorator pattern to add extra arguments and stuff to these, or not extra arguments, but sort of extra methods of doing things to these. And there's also like a hyper efficient kind of pattern that I want to do where basically we point the base element for everything is going to be just this element, and then any kind of interaction is going to be, we're going to create a decorator that wraps this and then just give people back the decorator. That way if you have, say, like 100 elements, but you only have 3 with different interactions, the total number of element classes you'll have is going to be like 4 or something. You know, it'll be the base element, and then the 3 with the overridden interactions, and then everything else just points to the, to the default one, because it's good. The default one is good enough to actually, fulfill all of their requests. So yeah, that is stuff to look forward to in the future, but my brain is a little bit fried right now. I might stream a little bit later, depending on how I feel. I know this stream started a bit late, but that's mostly because I was having technical difficulties. I wanted to use my camera, but my green screen was not cooperating, and, I want to get more into using the webcam, but I'm just not that great with it. I thought that it was a better camera than it is. I mean, you can see kind of around the edges, like where my hand is right now. You can kind of see it's not great. I need to get the filters correct on the green screen. But next time I stream, I will, between now and the next time I stream, I'll go through and create all the actions we want. And that way we can just focus on getting this sort of syntax to work. Gherkin also allows for some other stuff. So it allows you to do like tagging. It allows you to pass in like data tables and stuff like that. Oh yeah, also there's like a CSV file kind of format reader that I want to implement as well, so that we can pass CSV data into this, because that was one of the things that our old framework, the framework that I'm kind of trying to improve on, that's one of the things that it could do, is it could read CSV sort of data, and I'd like to create some kind of module for that. At some point I'd like to integrate TestNG, because TestNG is a much better test runner than I can ever build, but I don't know if I can. I think that there's some limitations that might prevent that from being the case, but we'll see. After that, I'd like to implement some kind of JSON reading tool that converts JSON into page objects, so we don't have to always rely on JavaScript for it. And as well, I'd like to, implement after we implement the element level interactions, it'll be nice to implement the browser level interactions, and then doing some cross-platform stuff. I don't know if I showed off the browser stuff. Basically, the browser is just a target that implements WebDriver, and there is an implementation of it that's just sort of the default browser. Right now, it only uses Firefox, because Firefox is the only browser I have installed. But I would like it to at least use 2 browsers. So that's going to require the concept of a platform. And so the platform is going to, I say the concept of a platform. It's not really the concept of a platform. It's more, the concept of a platform like Windows versus like some kind of mobile device. That's sort of the platform. Whereas the browser itself, we're going to need some kind of browser factory. And there's going to be like browser types or something. And that's going to, the browser type is going to, no. The default browser is going to be the default. It's probably not going to have this implemented. It's probably just going to throw an error. And you're probably going to have to create a subclass for every browser type you want and just override the open method. That might work. But yeah, we'll have to see how all of that goes. We might be able to do some crazy trickery with interfaces where we create an interface with like default methods, and then we have like an enum that implements that, and then we can make use of a lot of crazy Java features. But anyway, until we get into that, I'm going to take a bit of a break. Might be a 23-hour break, might be a 30-minute break, I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next time.